I still remember in Nasirabad, we were in the long range, medium machine gun, it was not cleared after the firing. It fired one round. He heard that. He came back and asked me, फायर हुआ था? आपके बिल्कुल 10 गज बाहर फायर हुआ था. So we were showing our capability of drones and firing the smokes. Had the drone been this side, had it landed this side and fired here, it would have been Raksha Mantri
And
sitting.
RM was sitting.
And my goodness.
What is your opinion on what happened on 26/11 and the way we acted?
When all this mayhem was going on, police thought that it's a gang war going on. Like in a particular hilltop they are sitting, hilltop they are sitting, and we used to go in between them. I mean, we are surely, sitting ducks. Imphal and Jiribam, and it's only one road, and that road was entirely ambush prone. We are facing a big enemy in our backyard, and those tanzeems are backed by none other than ISI. The drug cartel, which was more or less finished, they have been activated.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Valor Diaries by Aero Armor. Today we have the honor of having with us Brigadier Gautam Ganguly. Brigadier Ganguly is a decorated Indian Army officer with decades of service under his belt. His industry experience in counterinsurgency, counterterrorism, border safety, strategic defense planning, and many more has really benefited our country. Brigadier Ganguly has been awarded Sena Medal and Vishal Sena Medal and has numerous operations under his belt. He's held key positions in Northeast and J&K, and his insights, his deep insights on global and defense and politics surrounded around it has really benefited a lot of us, and we're really honored to have you, sir. Have you here today, sir.
Thank you, Anis.
Sir, we've we are going through a very difficult phase, if I may, in terms of the global scenarios, in terms of our domestic scenarios, but a lot of situations going on, and we would love to dive into all that with you today. But before we do that, sir, um, want to go back to your childhood. Was it always? Did you always intend to be an army officer? Was it always the plan, or was that a decision that you made later on?
Absolutely. Um, Firstly, I'll excuse for my bad throat, but I'll still want to carry on like a soldier. So, if I take my mind back to 1984, when I did my graduation in BCom Honors from Delhi University, uh, focus was straight into army. I did try to get into army through NDA. Unfortunately, I could not clear that time, but mine was absolutely clear and concise that post graduation I have to come through serious. Hence, I came to army.
So, but why was that? Was it an army background, or was it your?
Negative, nothing. I used to love army movies, and that was the kind of a attraction, a very very attraction. I have to join army.
So, कौन सी favorite movie थी sir उस time पे?
Guns of Navarre.
And sir, which year did you get your commission?
I was commissioned in 1985.
And do you remember your first day, sir, as a commissioned officer?
Absolutely, absolutely. I remember my first day as a commissioned officer. When I went to my unit, and I was told I was having a kind of a my CO's interview था. Commanding officer उन दिनों मेरे ख्याल से भगवान के बाद commanding officer होते थे. Or whether it was by design or default, my adjutant, he kept me standing in front of his office for about half an hour. And that half an hour was absolutely a nightmare for me. Not for that I was standing. I was expecting something, inside commanding officer with big moustache and all that kind of a thing. But when I walked in, I saw an absolute handsome gentleman sitting called Colonel Goyal. And believe you me, he was so nice with me. So I went inside, I mean, with a kind of a, वो गुबार होता है कि अभी तो डांट पड़ेगी या कमांडिंग ऑफिसर बैठो. And I remember my first day, and till date, I haven't found, you know, charismatic and, such polished gentleman than Colonel Goyal in my service life.
So हमने बहुत सारी stories सुने. We heard a lot of stories about pranks which were played on the first day, old monks which was onboarded on people on first day. So any such insights which you would like to reveal, yes?
No, मेरे साथ नहीं हुआ, because that was the time when unit was going for exercise.
Okay.
And exercise unit going means, you are in the professional field, and I was lucky. But yes, हमने किए बहुत. हमने दूसरे youngsters के साथ हमने किए बहुत हैं. Yes, that was, I mean, the entire world knows.
So you were first commissioned in 6 Grenadiers. So Grenadiers has a huge history, sir. Has a tremendous history. So like, was it जितना हमें पता है, sir, you're given a choice when sir, क्या आपने ये choice था आपका to go to the Grenadiers, or was it something?
No. I in infantry.
Okay, sir.
I chose Grenadiers. My instructor in OTA, he was from Grenadiers, Colonel Chandawat.
Okay.
And he was about 6 feet plus tall gentleman, and with white hackle, and used to be seen from miles. We had no idea which regiment, but I thought that if I go to infantry, I'll go to Grenadiers. So that was my affiliation to Grenadiers, but yes, that was a very correct affiliation. I went to a regiment which is, maximum decorations apart from other regiments. All regiments are good.
Of course.
But somehow Grenadiers, I mean, they choose me inside the Grenadiers, and balance is thing. I had best of my time in my regiment.
So when we so हमारे पास बहुत requests आते हैं for products, and I can tell you the popularity of Grenadiers is on another level, and like especially after Kargil War, Grenadiers, no doubt they already had a lot of achievements, and after Kargil War, Grenadiers really people started knowing about Grenadiers and their active role that they played in the Kargil War.
We are very proud of that. 18 Grenadiers, we captured Tiger Hill. We are very proud of that. In fact, a month back, me and my wife, we had an opportunity to visit 18 Grenadiers here in Delhi only.
Wow.
And when we, in their mess, when we stood in front of the Kargil trophy, it was something, a different feeling. And that feeling, it comes only when you are attached so much to your regiment. And very proud of 18 Grenadiers and all the battalions. So later on I found, when I became a commander, I found that other regiments are also fantastic. I mean, I had a Jakilai battalion, I had a Rajput battalion, I had a Jakrif battalion. They all are extremely good. So, but yes, when your own regiment, you love it.
Sir, हमने बहुत सुना है कि the importance of एक खुद की हमारी अपनी जो पलटन होती है, like so what was your bond with your pulton, like with your colleagues, your juniors, your seniors, sir? How was the bond like? Was it a very bureaucratic bond? Was it a very friendship bond? Middle ground tha? How was the bond like?
No. The bond of the pulton is something next to your, own brothers. So the brotherhood is something different. You are together in thick and thin. I mean, you have seen operation, you have seen, peace stations, you have gone out. I mean, एक साथ डांट खाया है, एक साथ लड़ाई में गए हो. और वो जो बॉन्ड है, वो सिर्फ ऑफिसर्स का नहीं है. ये बॉन्ड उन जवानों का भी है जिनके साथ आपने लड़ाई लड़ी है. खास करके मेरे लिए, आई एम सो लकी. आज भी, आई हैव रिटायर्ड फॉर अबाउट 5 years. आज भी मेरे जवान जो मेरे साथ थे लड़ाई में, उनके घर में कुछ भी हो, चाहे वो सुख का कोई पार्वन हो कि दुख की कोई हो, वो जरूर मेरे को फ़ोन करते हैं. एंड दे एक्सपेक्ट दैट आई गो टू देम एज अ पार्ट ऑफ देयर फैमिली. सो हम जोशीला 6 बोलते हैं, तो वो एक पूरा का पूरा ये एक परिवार है. और हम जब भी मिलते हैं, हम एक बहुत ही जोशो खरोश से मिलते हैं। और ये परिवार क्या है पता है, ये दिस इज समथिंग लाइक, ये परिवार बहुत बड़ा परिवार है। और जैसे जैसे समय बीतता जाता है ये परिवार की परिधि
और टाइट होते जाते, मजबूत होते जाती है,
कम होती
कम
जाती
होते
है,
जाती है।
क्योंकि जो जो इस दुनिया से जाते रहते हैं
ओके, सो सॉरी।
तो तब ये बॉन्ड और तगड़ा होता रहता है कि जब हम एज हो जाता है ना, तब हमको पता है कि ये हम में से कोई भी किसी टाइम जा सकता है, तो वो और मजबूत हो जाता है।
सर, आपको आपकी सबकी फर्स्ट लाइक आर्मी में मिस्टेक्स आर वेरी होते हैं, गलती सबसे होती है, आपसे भी हुई होगी। एनी फर्स्ट मिस्टेक विच यू रिमेंबर, विच जो आपको लगा यार आज तो इट इज गोइंग टू बी अ टफ डे, आज यू विल बी टेकन टू टास्क, ऐसा कुछ हुआ था? डू यू रिमेंबर दैट सर?
My goodness, that was the day um, we got saved. Um, I still remember in Nasirabad, we were in the long range and we were doing MMG firing.
Okay.
And somehow that medium machine gun, it was not cleared after the firing. I was the firing officer. There was some MMG competition coming and my 2IC, I still remember, he went up to the target to check the target. So there was one MMG, they were both fired, so he was checking the first target. And the second guy who was in the second MMG, of course, it was not aligned with the officer or the team, but yes, within the butt area only, it fired one round.
Oh God.
And but fortunately twice he was about 700-800 yards away. He heard that. He came back and asked me, fire हुआ था? I said, हाँ सर हुआ था, आपके बिल्कुल 10 गज बाएं फायर हुआ था.
Oh God.
So that was the mistake which, it is unpardonable mistake. Definitely the Jawan was, rebuked, punished. But such things, it happens. There are so many times which happens. It happened in NSG. It happened in front of Raksha Mantri. There was a demonstration going on,
Okay, sir.
and there were so many family members and civilians sitting, and every second of that demonstration is practiced and rehearsed. For that matter, our sniper is to fire on top of the VIP and used to shoot it in front. So we were showing our capability of drones and firing the smokes into the houses where you are going to intervene. So the drone, it fired one. There were two of them. It fired one, the second one did not fire. So it just took a turn, came down, and it landed in front of the public. And then it fired one.
Oh God.
And it looked like that as if it, it is rehearsed. But, that was the time my heart, I sank.
So, and were you commanding that?
I was a force commander there.
God.
So I sank. I said, oh my goodness, had the drone been this side, had it landed this side and fired here, it would have been Raksha Mantri
And
sitting.
RM was sitting.
And my goodness, but Lady Luck was with us. It went straight. So such thing happens. But I have seen that if your training is good and your intent is good, God always helps you. I still remember those. There were so many of them, but yes, it happens, and it happens with number of people will tell you such things. Accidents do occur, but yes, we should try and avoid them.
Sir, इसमें for example, sir, like I will remember you. As far as the Indian Army is concerned, it is a voluntary option to opt for the NSG, or are you sent to NSG on deputation, sir?
No, it is a deputationist force.
Okay.
and it is voluntary, of course.
Okay.
But after you come, firstly, the filter is done in the regiment. I'm talking of the commandos
Okay.
and the officers in the say from the force they are coming in, whether it is army, CRPF, or all the CAPFs or the state police. The first filter is there. Then you come and go through a psychological test. You clear the psychological test and a physical test, which is pretty tough. And then you are inducted into
One of the SAGs. One of the
no, for the training.
Okay,
And the
sorry.
training is 90 days.
90 days.
So if you don't complete that training, you are sent back. So you can be sent back after the psychological test or the physical test or during training. So those 100 or 110 days, it's a kind of a very tough test for because we are choosing best of the best
Of course.
in NSG. So I'm very proud that our selection process, our training process is one of the best in the world.
Sir, and how old were you, sir, during NSG when you were
I was the force commander. When I joined, I think I was about 53,
and at
52,
that
53.
and at that point you cleared those.
No, for me, the tests were entirely different.
Okay.
For me, the interview was taken as at the Home Ministry.
Okay.
And we were, I think, four of us. Yes, I think four officers. Out of them, I was lucky to have been selected for this for us. But for a force commander, it's not a compulsion. But if you have to stand with your boys, you should be able to fire like him, run like him, act like him. So it was a kind of a compulsion behind that I have to keep my pace with my boys.
So were you a part of one special action group or like a particular
No,
15?
no, I was commanding the entire force.
Entire force. Okay.
There were special action groups. There were SRGs,
Okay, sir.
and there were BD units, that is bomb disposal units, K9 units, and regional hubs. So I was commanding the entire force.
And how was the transition from army to NSG as a culture, as a lifestyle? Because they,
Well, it, nothing much of a difference because NSG culture is something like, although it's a concoction of IPS, Army, and CAPFs, but in my time, I mean, we had no problem. Not in my time, nobody has had a problem. I mean, everybody adjusts, everybody knows their pluses and minuses, and it's a fantastic cohesive force.
and sir, NSG has sir, 26th November is coming up. Um, a very dark day in the history of a country. Operation Black Tornado was one of the finest operations of the NSG and Marine Commandos. Um, so what is your opinion on what happened on 26/11 and the way we acted? Uh, do you think we could have done something differently in terms of could our intelligence have been a little better? Could we have responded more quickly because there was no NSG availability in Mumbai? NSG had flown in from uh, Delhi, and that took some time, and Marcos held the ship until that.
It's an excellent question. I mean, and there after the operation was done, there was a kind of a after action report written, and there were a lot of lessons were learned, lessons learned, and one of the lessons that NSG has to be in important cities, and after that, post that, all these hubs came up in to start with Mumbai, Chennai, Kolkata, Hyderabad. Later on, we had in Ahmedabad. Now we are planning to set in Kashi, Vishwanath, as per the strategic targets and the mobility factor also to be seen. Now, as far as 26/11 is concerned, you see, the intelligence was there that the terrorists are planning to come through the waterway from the Central Intelligence Agencies. But it was a general intelligence. it was not something like उसी दिन आ रहे हैं or something of that sort. There were gaps in our security system in terms of surveillance of the high sea, surveillance of the sea, and then the reaction of the first responder. Now, in cities, who is the first responder?
Police.
Police. So, I believe for first about 3 to 4 hours, when all this mayhem was going on, police thought that it's a gang war going on, some kind of a gang war. And late they realized, okay, no, it's not a gang war. People are being killed, and the guys who are killing, they are trained and they are having automatic weapons. By the time they have done it in the Chhatrapati Shivaji terminal, they have done in the Leopold Cafe, they have gotten into the hotel, and lot of casualties have already done. And that was the time when Mumbai police realized whose fault it is. It's difficult. I have been to such situations. Let me tell you, the entire system, when it meets such kind of an attack, which is, I would say, it's a watershed event as far as counter-terrorism is concerned. It taught the entire world that such thing can happen and we should be ready. When this mayhem was going on, the command and control of that area was not united. I mean, army had its own command and control, police had its own command and control, the Marcos they had their own command and control. NSG came much later. So when there is no command and control like that, definitely the results, and if the command and control is not there, the communication will not be there. And if the command and control and communication both are not there, then you do not apply your troops properly. The application goes faulty. And that's how one of the vehicles had 6, 7 police officers. And unfortunately, we lost Mr. Hemant Karkare, and along with 6, 7 very good police officers.
He displayed great bravery, sir.
Yeah. So application was, I mean, what is that? And then the application of troops. I mean, there was no requirement of so many commanders at different level to be in the one gadi. Anyway, so after energy had come, believe you me, I have gone to the hotel, both the hotels, Abhay and Taj. The way they have cleared, no light, pitch dark, and in that clearing room after room, where inside the room people have locked themselves, and in spite of telling energy, they are not open.
Because they're scared.
They're scared.
They're scared.
And then evacuation. It was kind of a total operation. We lost our brave officer and
Sandeep.
Sandeep Krishnan and an NCO from 51 Special Action Group. In 51 Special Action Group, we still carry those sofa sets and those tables, bullet ridden, as a kind of a souvenir. But yes, this much I can say, had energy not been there that day, the casualty would have been manifold.
So that means the training which NSG has been going under, it was the day it was tested and it came true.
No, I mean, NSG had gone into operations before that also.
Yes, sir.
Several operations we have done during the Punjab militancy,
Yes,
and NSG has done. But yes, that was a watershed operation. I mean, that kind of operation, people never thought.
The footage of them jumping from the terrace, the helicopter, that is something which gives us goosebumps even today.
Yeah, in that Jawad house.
Yes,
So that is one of the ways to clear
yes.
a house. One of the ways to clear a house, and I must say that that kind of operations, it needs a lot of grit and determination, and the pilot of that helicopter, he is the man that he is the trigger point of that operation. I mean, he has to stand there over so that the people can get down. I always give 100 marks to those helicopter pilots who during operations or during rehearsals, I mean, they were always with us. Salute to them.
So no kind of combat is easy. Like when the life is at risk, that is the Saroj Balidan. So nothing beats that. But when it is a like such a close range combat, clearing room after room, from you have no idea from where a terrorist can come up, and we've heard countless stories about what had happened. So how different is it from that to an LC?
It's a entirely different thing. LC, you have a line drawn.
Yes.
You know anything beyond this is enemy. Anything beyond this side is our own men. Here, at a pitch dark passage of an hotel, even if you just can see somebody, you don't know he or she can be a guest. You can't start killing your guests. So it's an entirely different operation until and unless I am next to you, I am on you and you are firing me or I am seeing you, I can't engage. And at the same time, while you are evacuating them. So that day it is not only NSG who was evacuating, there were hotel staff, there were other people who were brave enough um, to, help the guests to get evacuated. Energy cleared, but the entire, if I say that entire machinery worked that night.
So they entered from the sea. India's border is so like roughly, if we take, it's around 7,000 kilometers of coastal borders, or around 15,000 odd kilometers of land borders, and it's a multitude with hills, with forests, with sub-zero temperatures, to such a wide coastal belt. It is India is one country which is blessed with a varied geography, but it is a challenge for the BSF, for the Coast Guard, for the Indian Army, for the Air Force, for the Navy to protect that. How does our borders compare to the most crucial borders, be it the US Mexico border or be it the DMZ between North Korea and South Korea? What are the key challenges that we face which no other country really faces in the world, sir?
We face the challenge of extent, as you said, the land borders or the water side, the extent, huge extent. And then it keeps changing its geography. If I start from Gujarat, so it's a kind of Ran of Kutch. Come to Rajasthan, it is Thar. Come to Punjab, it is a riverine terrain. Come to J&K, it's mountainous, right from hilly terrain to plains to hilly terrain to mountainous
Mountains.
and to super high altitude.
Siachen.
In front of China, you know
Yes.
what kind of difficult terrain we do it. Go to northeast, it's all jungles, and I'm not exaggerating. During the daytime, sun rays don't enter those jungles. It's so thick. I'm not exaggerating. It is actually there are spots. The jungle is so thick that sun rays don't enter. So first challenge is that the extent, type of borders, and then the another thing is remoteness. Our borders traditionally has been kept very remote.
Was there a part of strategy or something accidentally that just happened?
Well, there were places where it was a part of military strategy also, but something which border areas were not that looked into. But now, in the present government, if you see, entire border area is being looked into.
BRDO is doing a very
Be it infrastructure development in terms of civil infrastructure, in terms of military infrastructure, be it social development, be it getting the border into the mainstream. It's a fantastic job being done. So then there is a challenge of, like this side of the border, especially if I talk of J&K, half the family stays here and half the family stays across the border. That's a challenge. Because for him, he has affiliation towards his family, half his family is some mama, chacha, anybody, but he is a foreigner, he is a Pakistani. So that's a challenge. And he is also staying there, they are also staying there. Then you talk of this border fence. The maintenance of this such long border fence, it's a massive work.
So I think even till date the full border is not fenced. I think it's still under
No, there are
the northeastern
there
part.
are
Yeah.
there are places. I mean, northeastern border as of now we don't need it,
Yes, sir.
but where we need it, we have fenced it 100%. Um, but again, fence it has got its own challenges. So border remains um, a big challenge for Indian forces, be it BSF, Army, or Coast Guard, Navy, Air Force. Border remains a big challenge.
So you are one of the people who served in the two of the most critical borders, be it the LC there or the LAC here near the northeast. Am I correct in my knowledge about the LAC part or
LAC is with the line
China?
of actual country is with the China.
So you've had a good presence, you've had a good tenure in the northeast. So can you tell your first-hand experience about serving in these locations? What is it like there?
Because Northeast is an entirely um, different ball game. Northeast, comprising of seven sisters, seven states, as you know, and every state, every region has its own culture, own language, different kind of people. And Northeast has seen a long spurt of armed insurgency. Of course, they were supported by external forces, be it from Myanmar, be it from Bangladesh, or be it from Burma. The geography of Northeast is entirely different from the balance of the country. Your dealing with the people is different in Northeast. Um, Different states has got different languages. And in Northeast, one thing is said that if you don't speak their language, or at least you don't understand their language, you are not a welcome thing. Northeast get n number of factions. You can, I have lost count of number of factions which Northeast had earlier, and still they have. Proximity to all these countries like Bangladesh, Myanmar, influx of arms, ammunition, drugs,
Illegal immigrants, you can say.
illegal immigrants. That is a problem for our country, for India. So Northeast definitely needs a very special kind of an attention and forethought to handle that region, to keep that region under check. Otherwise, it's very easy for our northern enemy, or what do you call it, for the China, to just to rake up, any state, because they have that cultural affinity from Myanmar. I'm not getting into
Yes, sir.
the depth of it,
Yes, sir.
but yes, Northeast has got its own peculiarity.
So, and with Northeast, it is not just the border issues that has to be dealt with. It is also the domestic issue in which the army gets dragged into.
Actually, domestic issues, the other issues which are that is with the government,
Comment. But army gets
their
dragged into them.
their demands,
Yes.
but somehow
Be the AFSPA or like
Armed Forces Special Power Act,
yes,
it's an entirely different
yes,
thing. Um, there were few places where government had taken away the ASPA, but now after Manipur has again gone into fires, it had to be put back. But as far as army is concerned, it has got its own role to play in the entire management of Northeast. You must understand this, that to manage Northeast, it is not a military issue. It's administration, it's government, it's the tribal leaders, that tribal leaders, and they are also part of the management. Army, police, CAPF, and there are more players into this. So Northeast needs a very, very delicate and dynamic hand.
So what is in your सर जैसे आपने बताया कि the difficulties that surrounded Northeast. Sir, can you please tell us about like one of your experience in Northeast which was very exhilarating for you in terms of your full military expertise जो आपका one of the operations जो Northeast में हुआ था. Like whatever you're permitted to disclose, sir.
Uh, देखो नॉर्थ ईस्ट के अंदर आई रिमेंबर वन ऑफ द operations which my unit, I commanded an Assam Rifle Battalion, and we were tasked to ensure that the factions of NACN IM and NACN K, that is Khaplan, they should not start fighting amongst each other. That was our task those days in Nagaland. Why I am telling you this and not an action in Manipur? Because Manipur actions, again, it used to be 2 plus 2 used to always be 4. Because you are fighting in the jungle, you are fighting against the insurgents, whether you get them or they get you, it's always 2 plus 2, 4. But here, this operation, it went on for about 10 days.
10 days.
Yes. And they were facing each other, they were coming in front of each other at different places. And for us, we are the reactive force. We were running and literally we were going between them. Like in a particular hilltop they are sitting, hilltop they are sitting, and we used to go in between them and try and stop them, knowing that our lives are in their hand. If they fire, I mean, we are surely, sitting ducks. And it happened in that 7 days, it happened 3 to 4 times. We kept chasing them, they kept changing their location, we kept chasing them, and we kept going. But ultimately, our persistent, it won. I mean, both the factions, they said, okay, we will not fight, and they went to their. So, I still, when I talk about this operation, and once it happened in Kohima town itself, where two factions were ready to fire and there were civilians inside. I was responsible for Kohima town, and the police, they were there, but the kind of control which Assam Rifle had those days in Kohima, uh, I mean, that was phenomenal. So we were told that you handle that situation. And during that, you know, 10 days, I came across number of their top leaders in K and in
In both
IM,
of them.
in both IM also. And that they remained as, I won't call friends, but an acquaintance. And during my stay in Nagaland or even in Manipur, several times they have come, their informations have come very handy to me. They had their own compulsions to fight at that time, and I will those days Nagaland, every district there used to be firing, and there used to be interfactional clashes. And Chief Minister Nefurio, who is the Chief Minister now also, he told publicly in a meeting that if Kohima can stop the interfactional firing, why not the other districts? That was the medal for,
Yes.
not for me, for, I mean, for the entire battalion. So there were different operations during in Manipur also, like when we went to a place called None, which is between uh, uh, Imphal and Jiribam, and it's only one road, and that road was entirely ambush prone. And we had to ensure that before we had moved in, about a month ago, there was an ambush on CRPF. So literally, we had to ensure that there is no ambush. So till the time battalion was there, we worked so efficiently that they could not ambush any either army convoy or Assam Rifle convoy. And that hard work, I'm not going to list out those hard
Of
works,
course.
whether it is daytime or it is night time. Um, that is my salute to my boys in all kind of weathers.
And so, what was your, how did you motivate your boys, sir? I believe you were, as a commander there, your role is not just a strategic and a defense planning, but it's also political to an extent of keeping the administration happy, the key leaders happy, the Jawans motivated, like a good camaraderie. It's a very diverse role, sort of a commander. It is no short of a CEO of a top company who's managing n number of
Exactly.
operations and with the added risk of life, which is a huge responsibility.
Commanding officer, they are the absolute base of any army because they are commanding the basic fighting unit, a battalion, a regiment. So, as you said, a commanding officer has to be master of everything. He has to be good in tactics, he has to be good in writing, he has to be good in his public relations, he has to be good in disaster management, he has to be good in situation management. So commanding officer is mix of everything. So yes, to being a commanding officer, in our time, frankly speaking, it used to be dream of everybody. Okay, I have to become a commanding officer. Beyond this, it's bonus.
So so from that transitioning to the current situation in the entire region, be it the student riots which happened in Bangladesh to Sheikh Hasina seeking asylum in our country to the entire current situation in the northeast. How do you think it evolving? How do you see it playing out in the current in the current government that we have in the Modi 3.0? What do you think? How do you see it evolving, sir? What is your vision of it, and how do you actually envision it to be? What is the perfect strategy according to you that should be in place for handling the complete belt there, which mitigates all of these problems?
We are facing a big enemy in our backyard. Bangladesh turmoil, the reasons are well known. I am not going to dwell on it. But definitely, our neighboring country getting into this situation, it's not a very good signature for us also. Bangladesh getting into that situation, all tanzims, they have started their offices, they have started their training. And those tanzims are backed by none other than ISI. The drug cartel, which was more or less finished, they have been activated. So it has joined that golden triangle of drug cartel. Movement of arms and ammunition. Earlier, arms and ammunition used to come from Myanmar side. Now it will start coming in from Bangladesh side too. Influx of terrorists. Now, as we know, that there is a problem with cookies going on. Now, whatever is the political side it says, but all those guys, they are Indians, they used to stay here. Now, they are being targeted by the terrorists from Bangladesh. And one of the very, a freak information, which I think it's pretty important, is that ISI has told to get the terrorists trained in jungle warfare.
Is that considered a weak point, sir? Jungle warfare?
I will come back to that. So, overall, Bangladesh turmoil is affecting the northeast situation in terms of terrorism, in terms of drug supply, in terms of arms and ammunition, and in terms of influx of the terrorists. In terms of the ex so-called factions again reviving their cadres. And the biggest of them is Ulfa.
Okay.
So the 2IC, the second in command of Ulfa, is still in Bangladesh. And I will not be surprised that in some other form in Northeast, the Ulfa comes up. You know the condition of Manipur.
Yes.
It is now spilling over to Mizoram.
Yes.
It will further spill over to Khasi and Garo Hills, that is Meghalaya. 3 states gone. We are already having problem with Nagas. They are inducing that kind of, information. They are inducing that kind of arms, ammunition into these groups. That these groups, they want to revive themselves. For them, the interest is group revived, that means money. They run a parallel government.
So is money the motivator, or do you think there's a
It is
real
not
cause behind it?
It is not a motivator, but yes, it is one of the causes. I run a parallel government. I just have to pick up a weapon.
Yes.
And I'm part of it. You are going, I'll stop you, collect tax, and let you go. So that is the motivator. The money remains, the entire world is revolving around money. Hence, Northeast, as on date, it is sitting on an atom bomb. Now, what we should do? What we should do, I think the government is doing. But as I see it, there has to be placement of people who have earlier worked in Northeast and they know the nuances of nitty-gritties of Northeast into different regions as advisors. I think there is a fill in the blanks in this as advisors, so that a correct kind of an advice is given to the bureaucracy, to the leadership, political leadership, and Northeast can be again brought back to its own status. We fought for more than 35 years in Northeast, militarily. A lot of sacrifice is given. And combination of state police, Assam Rifle, Indian Army, and other intelligence organizations. We generally had a fair control over Northeast. Unfortunately, this after getting Bangladesh, the things are or in Manipur and now spilling over to the thing. So we need to be very serious about Northeast. Otherwise, Northeast we are going to have a problem.
So, do you think how big a threat is China for us right now? Like, how is the situation around there, as per your understanding, sir?
As far as China is concerned, in the global scenario, the developments which happen during Galwan, during Dokalam, our government has tackled the situation in an excellent manner. Whether it is diplomatically, militarily, in terms of infrastructure, and in terms of looking into the eyes of China, it's a big power,
Yes, sir.
and standing there and saying, "Okay, friend, this is not 1962." I give all credit to our leadership, our military leadership, and reposturing of our forces. But yes, China as a nation, they have to be dealt. Their actions are very dynamic. So today they can be doing something, but tomorrow or day after, what they will do, you never know. So you got to be ready. As the world geopolitics changes, we have to posture ourselves with a distinct, control over the LSE and not let China come into the Indian lands.
Sir, I would like to believe, and I would like you to verify this. I'm sure, apart from the few incidents that comes out, there might be hundreds of other skirmishes which actually happen at the border on a day-to-day basis, and the things that come up on the news are a few things that come to light. So those things which come up are maybe dealt on a command level or a brigade or in whatever level they are dealt with. Uh, so in that day-to-day dealings, what are the major challenges that a CEO faces in terms of decision making? For example, if they fire at us, like is it do they?
All those things are very, very old things. I mean, you can be rest assured that those were, good old days where they used to say कि आपको फायर करने का परमिशन दिल्ली देगा और blah blah blah. अभी ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. The things are being dealt at appropriate level and dealt instantly, and befitting reply is being given. Whosoever tries and does this kind of a jiggery poogri in our borders.
So going from our friends in the east to our lovely friends in the west, Pakistan. Um, So we got independence same. We became a sovereign in the same country at the same year. My apologies. Um, so what happened after that? Because of which India became a democratic, proper, structured government. To them being an army-led government, if I may call them that in some manner. What was so drastic? Everything was same. Culture was same. Everything was same. What happened after that, sir? According to you, which made such big difference in both of these countries? Because I think some that is the core after which all the problems are germinated. You might correct me. Like we call it terrorism, we call it ISI. This is one of the main reasons because of which all of these things have, which we'll dive into in a bit of time. But what is the main reason that this happened according to you?
देखो, पाकिस्तान, आज का पाकिस्तान अपने ही खेत में जहर बो के वो काट रहा है. They are also facing the same problem towards Khyber Pakhtunkhwa or towards their eastern borders. And they are having trouble with Taliban,
Yes.
with Baloch National Army, and all that kind of stuff. To my mind, a stable Pakistan, a stable Bangladesh, a stable Myanmar, a stable Nepal, a stable Sri Lanka is always good for my country.
Of course.
So you would see that our foreign policy is based on good relations with our neighbors, and we try and help them wherever we can.
Yes.
Unfortunately, there are certain elements towards our north or from somewhere else. They try and enter this thing, try and make a base in Bangladesh, try and make a base in Sri Lanka or to Maldives or whatever it is. Anyway, so Pakistan, I blame the British,
Okay.
this two nation policy.
Yes.
And more so, I blame the people who accepted this decision. Today only I was listening in a BBC program that there were people who opposed इस विभाजन को होने के लिए लोगों ने ऑपोजिशन किया, लेकिन कई लोग थे जिन्होंने इस चीज को एक्सेप्ट किया, इंक्लूडिंग मिस्टर मोहम्मद अली जिन्ना एंड फ्रॉम आवर साइड आल्सो. एंड बैलेंस इज हिस्ट्री. पार्टीशन के टाइम पे कितनी डेथ हुई, द काइंड ऑफ स्टोरीज व्हाट वी हियर, दिल दहला देने वाले. ये एक हाई टाइम है जहां पाकिस्तान को और इंडिया को एक समझौते पे आना है कि हमारे पास अपनी समस्याएं बहुत हैं. जितनी गुर्बत हमारे कंट्री में है शायद उससे कहीं ज़्यादा पाकिस्तान में. एजुकेशन, मेडिकल, नौकरी, हम दोनों कंट्रीज इससे जूझ रहे हैं. और आज जो वर्ल्ड का जो सिचुएशन है, जो इकोनॉमिक सिचुएशन है, जो आगे होने वाला है, वो और भी बुरा होने वाला है. इस स्थिति में क्या ये दोनों कंट्री जो पहले एक थे हम अफोर्ड कर सकते हैं? दिस इज माई पर्सनल व्यू. आई मे बी रॉन्ग, बट एट द सेम टाइम बीइंग अ सोल्जर, the pressure on India through the proxy war will always remain a truth. So we have to understand that we are fighting a pretty long drawn war. And now the situation has become that Pakistan, at the same time, he is addressing Jammu and Kashmir, he is addressing the youth of Jammu and Kashmir and the youth of Punjab. And what is he getting in? Drugs.
Yeah.
The drugs are coming through drones, and that is getting to our youth. It's a dangerous thing. And the fastest we try and reach these drug cartels, right from Jammu Kashmir till Punjab, UP, and Maharashtra. That's a line of this drug. It has to be done. As far as terrorism is concerned, you know, recently there were so many influx of terrorists. There are about 150 odd more very trained terrorists sitting across. So this will carry on. This will carry on. In a last podcast where I have spoken regarding the nuclear war
Yes.
in Pakistan, the capability of parity between India
In
and
Pakistan.
Pakistan. There were, so many people in Pakistan which they came up and they said that this is high time, we should stop this kind of rhetorics. Well, it can be stopped, but at the same time, nothing can be stopped until and unless you stop sending the terrorists inside my country.
So I think it has become a situation in which उनके foreign minister जब आते हैं या फिर whenever like this when we hear the speeches in UN, अभी like for the past 5 years 6 years it's just been about 370. You revoke 370 then we'll talk. You revoke 370 then we'll talk. Everything, and I don't see that I don't think that they'll actually expect that they can put some pressure on the Indian government to revoke 370. So is it just a political thing that they do for their country, or are they trying to showcase India as a something in the global?
No. You see, they have, between India and Pakistan, there are two verticals of talk points. One vertical is Kashmir,
Kashmir.
and other vertical is all those water treaties and all those things. I mean, there are so many other.
But terrorism is beyond Kashmir also. So terrorism is also a very, because our thing is our terrorism
Terrorism
khatam
is
karo.
no talking point.
There is nothing to discuss. It is
There is nothing. It is being done, and we are going to handle this with iron hand. So, as far as Kashmir is concerned, traditionally, for all political parties, just to remain afloat, they have to keep this Kashmir problem boiling. It is their political, kind of a style कि कश्मीर पे नहीं बोला तो क्या बोला, यूनाइटेड नेशन में आपने कश्मीर में बोला, हाँ देखो हम बोल के आए. तो आप इस तरफ आके देखिए कि पाकिस्तान ऑक्युपाइड कश्मीर में जो हाल है, आप वहाँ के हाल सुनिए, वहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है, इस तरफ आके देखिए. So Pakistan has to understand that till the time they put a full stop on production of terrorists in their own soil, this problem is not going to get solved. That is number one. And they have started testing their own poison.
Yes.
So I mean, as the civilians are dying, it's quite painful.
So this might be a bit controversial question, so you might choose to answer or not. But do you see us ever getting back POK? In all honesty,
It's a kind of a, it's not a military effort alone. So it's a big issue. It's a big issue. It's a political issue. It's a bureaucratic issue. It's a military issue, and more so, it's the wish of the people of POK.
POK.
So
But will a referendum be allowed? Do you think?
no, I mean that is too far.
Yeah, that's true.
That is too far. We have crossed those stages of referendum Who will allow to have a referendum in their own, in their own land? No. So, getting POK back is a goal, a aim. How to get it back, when to get it back, the plans are there, and they will be executed accordingly. But definitely, it's not a knee-jerk military action which will happen. It's a kind of a long-drawn thing where the entire regional stability has to be seen.
So you've again been really celebrated for your efforts, not even in the western borders, where you've managed to come up with strategies which has stopped a lot of infiltration. But as you just pointed out, infiltration still goes on. So what are like? Are we like? Is it something about BSF, Indian Army? What is it that we're lacking जिसकी वजह से अभी भी infiltration हो रहे हैं, अभी भी undergrounds हैं, with such advancements of technologies, with such advancements of the gear that the army or BSF has? When like will we ever get to stop this?
देखो, this is a question which I think I have replied n number of times. I have served on LC when the fence was not there. I have served on IB when the fence was there.
I'm sorry, IB.
International boundary.
International boundary.
International boundary is Punjab and
Okay.
J&K, and beyond that, the line of control,
Okay.
LC starts. LC is that after the war, whosoever has won,
Yes.
does
Yeah.
what, and they're sitting. It's a kind of a line which is imaginary
Yes.
line going forward. Now people say, infiltration क्यों होता है? इन्फिल्ट्रेशन इसलिए होता है कि वो जो ज़मीन है वो इतनी हार्ड है, इतनी टूटी फूटी है, उसके अंदर जंगल इतने हैं, नाले इतने हैं, हाइट्स इतनी हैं, वहाँ का एटमॉस्फेयर इतना हार्श है, क्लाइमेट इतना हार्श है, इट इज़ वर्चुअली not possible for any human being to sit and at every inch and guard the border. अभी मैंने बताया थोड़े देर पहले कि जम्मू कश्मीर में आधी फैमिली इधर है, आधी फैमिली उधर है. वो जो गाइड्स हैं वो सब, मोस्ट ऑफ देम आर द पीपल who know these
Routes.
ground very well. Believe you me, I am not exaggerating. You will be sitting there down below the nala. 15 guys will go. You will not even come to know. At night, because that nala is having a lot of water, flowing water, that sound is so much. You will not be able to make out. At dark nights, you don't see anything. That is one of the main reasons. And from this side, they are being received by the Indian side guides, who are basically the overground workers, and OGWs, and then they are taken to their safe havens. It is not that they are able to do the infiltration at their own will. No. If you see the reports, you forget about the old reports. If you see in last 1 year, in Kashmir LC, there are so many places, while people trying to come in, they have been killed. Army is pretty busy. So as BSF. Technology is being brought in. But 100% foolproof and infiltration infrastructure, anti-infiltration infrastructure is very, very near. We are working on this. There are private companies under Make in India brand They are working on this, and we are about to, amalgamate the human resources and the technical resources to make sure that not a single person they are able to infiltrate into our country. Person नहीं terrorist. The trials are on, and I am very sure we will attain this. Believe you me, the the land is so difficult. It is so difficult. You can't. It is in the -10, -20, -30 in the snow blizzards. It is so difficult to even to keep your eyes open. And there is a proverb in our word that I have to be lucky all 365 days. He has to be lucky only
Once.
one day. So you see the ratio. But don't worry, things are being done.
Sir, as a soldier or as a commander who's been in those places, sir, like uh, anytime a contact happens, it's not easy. Like, is it? But क्या हर contact में do you get scared कि operation चल रहा है या फिर अब my soldiers have gone for that contact and एक डर तो रहता होगा about your men, like how like is
वहाँ पे ऑफिसर खुद रहता है. इंडियन आर्मी में अगर आप देखो हर एक ऑपरेशन में ऑफिसर खुद रहता है, सीओ खुद रहता है. हर एक में शायद सीओ नहीं रहे, लेकिन कंपनी कमांडर, कंपनी ऑफिसर हमेशा अपने ट्रूप्स के साथ रहते हैं. सो देयर इज नो क्वेश्चन दैट ट्रूप्स आर गॉन देयर. डर नहीं है हमारे को, हमारे जवानों की फिक्र है. हम ये नहीं चाहते कि हमारे जवान किसी भी कारण से हताहत हो. उसके लिए बहुत तौर तरीके अपनाए जाते हैं. तो डर नहीं है, ये फिक्र ज़रूर होती है एक कमांडर को कि मेरे जो लड़के हैं वो अपने बच्चों की तरह देखता है कि ये बिल्कुल दुरुस्त होने चाहिए. और एक कहावत है कि आज जियोगे तो कल मारोगे. आज मर गए तो कल कौन मारेगा. तो आज जियोगे तो कल मारोगे. इट्स सर्वाइवल ऑफ द फिटेस्ट.
सर सर प्लीज़ फॉरगिव मी फॉर आस्किंग दिस क्वेश्चन अगर मैं कुछ गलत तरीके से इसको पूछ रहा हूँ, बट सर आवर सोल्जर्स आर वेरी करेजियस, दे हैव द अटमोस्ट ब्रेवरी, बट सर डर तो एक पॉइंट पे लगता होगा व्हेन द सोल्जर इज ऑन द फील्ड, जब बुलेट्स आ रहे हैं यहाँ से, लाइक एक एड्रेनलिन होता होगा. बट लाइक आई जस्ट वांट, आई एम ट्राइंग टू इमेजिन अ सोल्जर्स माइंड ऑन अ बैटल फील्ड जब उसके सामने एक कॉन्टैक्ट हो रहा है. हाउ डज इट फील सर? मतलब
देखो, अगर कोई बोलता है ना कि बैटल फील्ड में गोलियां चल रही हैं या ग्रेनेड फट रहे हैं या बम फट रहे हैं, मुझे डर नहीं लगता, तो वो झूठ बोल रहा है. एक कहावत है, जल मानेकशॉ कहते थे कि इसी में कि या तो वो झूठ बोल रहा है या वो गोरखा है. ठीक है? लेकिन वो एक सबको अपनी जान की परवाह होती है. अगेन दैट वर्ड डर इज ए नेगेटिव थिंग. यस, सवारी अपने सामान की खुद जिम्मेवार है. मेरे को ट्रेनिंग दिया है कि भैया जब बुलेट चलेंगे आपने अपने आप को कैसे बचाना है. दैट्स इट. आपकी ट्रेनिंग अगर अच्छी है, आपको अपने हथियार पे विश्वास है, चलने दीजिए ना बुलेट्स, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. आपको अपने लड़कों की परवाह है, आपकी ट्रेनिंग, आपने लड़कों को उस तरीके से अप्लाई किया है ग्राउंड के ऊपर, आपको पता है कि उनको कुछ नहीं होने वाला. ठीक है, आप अपने सही अपने पोजीशन में हैं. लेट हिम कीप फायरिंग, कीप एक्सपेंडिंग हिज ओन एमुनिशन ओवर आवर हेड. देयर इज नो प्रॉब्लम.
लाइक स्कूल कॉलेजेस में सर जब एनसीसीज में थे, हम लोग एनसीसी में थे, तो हमें उस टाइम में ब्रीफ किया जाता था द इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ अ वेपन एंड लाइक वो क्या है आपके लिए. एंड सर इन योर टेन्योर, जब when you've dealt with weapons, I'm sure you must have fired hundreds, thousands of rounds. So do you want to tell us about one of such experiences, जब डर नहीं बोलूँगा, but when you the most exhilarating thing, जब आपको लगा यार आज बच गए, Like, would you want to talk about, like,
Surely. Pretty old story. It may be of 2002 or 2001 in the month of September, where me and my Ghatak platoon, Ghatak means the commandos of the unit, we had some information and we went across the Mother Ridge. Mother Ridge means there is a kind of an LC in Rajouri sector. The highest points, continuation of mountain is called Mother Ridge. So
okay,
we went across that towards the LC, towards Pakistan to lay ambush.
okay,
And we were in the lower ground. We thought that we are camouflaged enough. But I think the guy who was observing from across, he was better. He saw us coming in. Those are the small little tactical mistakes. So when the sun is behind him, he can see you clearly. And sun is against me when I am going in. I can't see. He can see. He would have seen one odd thing and he would have tracked us. Inside the jungle he would have lost us, but yes, he tracked us nice and proper. And it was a kind of a nala side of a thing where we have laid ambush. And ambush was laid, we were there throughout the night, nothing came. But what came next day early in the morning is the enemy mortar fire. Well, pinpoint enemy mortar fire all and around my ambush, and we were all in open.
oh god,
So that day, I understood the old saying that when bombs fly, when the bombs are enemy bombs are coming, you start digging the trench. अपने दोनों हाथों से dig करना शुरू करते हो. तो वो, and that day again, you see, none of my boys were hurt.
is it?
Yes, because of the training. I shouted at them, nobody will get up and start running. Keep lying and don't worry, nothing will happen. And the firing went on for about 15-20 minutes.
Like continuous shelling again.
I mean, it was coming in salvos. And nothing happened. We did not move even after 2 hours. And then we withdrew from that place in pairs, although it was open daylight. But we withdrew in twos.
And you were leading.
Yeah, I was there. But that day, if you are saying scared, I was scared. ठीक है, अपना तो है ही है. Because my boys were out in the open. And that had, even if one loss of life, that shows the wrong tactical decision in part of me as a commander. That was killing me. It was a wrong decision on my part to choose this spot as an ambush where he can see me. So that 20 odd minutes, I prayed like hell, and he listened. We came out. That gave me a lesson that whenever the sun is going down behind the enemy, he can see you clearly. He can see all your movements clearly.
And you cannot see him because he's depending on his location.
And at the same time, when the sun is rising behind me,
We can also see
early in the morning, I can see him properly. That was a tactical lesson I learned. I was a young officer.
So how were these ambushes planned? Like were they based on intelligence or was it?
And those are up. There are a number of ways and means. Uh, there are the informations and there are ways and means for planning the ambushes.
So I wanted to spend some time on the global scenario. Um, so globally, a lot of things is happening in the Middle East. Here, Russia Ukraine is happening. Uh, the world has seen two world wars, and that changed the entire global dynamics. Do you think a situation like a Russia Ukraine has a spark to initiate a world war?
See, people are saying कि तृतीय विश्व युद्ध शुरू होगा. तृतीय विश्व युद्ध चल रहा है. मतलब अगर आप अजरबैजान अर्मेनिया की लड़ाई से शुरू करें, उसके बाद रशिया यूक्रेन से शुरू करें, अभी इजराइल हमास हिजबुल्लाह ईरान यूती से शुरू करें, और दो वर्ल्ड ऑर्डर बन गए. एक तरफ नेटो, एक तरफ ईरान, रशिया, चाइना, नॉर्थ कोरिया. तो तृतीय विश्व युद्ध तो चल रहा है. पूरे के पूरे वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमी में इतना फर्क पड़ गया है, सारे बाजार क्रैश हो गए. हमको तृतीय विश्व युद्ध की उतनी चिंता नहीं है, क्योंकि अगर कन्वेंशनल वॉर होगा तो कभी ना कभी तो खत्म होगा. Things will be back to normal, which we pray. What the mankind or all the countries should be worried about of a nuclear holocaust. ये जो दूसरे वाला जो फ्रंट है, रशिया, चाइना, नॉर्थ कोरिया, यहाँ पे ऑटोक्रेटिक स्टाइल ऑफ लीडरशिप है. He need not ask anybody to push that button.
Yes, sir.
It's a dangerous situation. Now, what did the President Biden do after he lost? He permitted Zelensky to fire the ballistic missiles deep into the Russian territory and hit his military targets.
So I'm sorry, what does it mean permitted? Like,
Because NATO was supplying
Acha.
that kind of a missiles.
Okay.
So it is escalation. They did not want to escalate the war. Hence they said that you will only use them into the defensive roles. When you are fired upon, you can fire. But you cannot fire into the Russian territory. And Zelensky was asking this permission from Biden for last about 8 to 12 months. He was not giving. But the moment he lost, he gave this permission. And Putin changed his nuclear doctrine. And in that doctrine, one of the points is that if my military targets are hit, I will be using my nuclear weapons, nukes. He retaliated with that hypersonic missile. So Zelensky ने फायर कर दिया, पुतिन साहब ने अपना न्यूक्लियर डॉक्ट्रिन चेंज कर दिया. अभी हम एक न्यूक्लियर वॉर के बहुत नज़दीक पहुंच गए. ईरान ने बोल दिया है कि 24 घंटे के अंदर I can assemble a nuclear weapon. That means Iran already has that capability. So we are facing a nuclear holocaust.
So we can only speculate. Do you think that threat by Putin is a serious threat? It's at the end a speculation, but so what do you assess?
I am very sure that Russia will, exercise its restraints. But these are the trigger points. These are the trigger points. One night, if the attack is more, he may trigger. And once it is triggered, it's going to be a dangerous thing. If you have heard, there are a few European countries, they have already started, training their public, general public, for disaster management against a nuclear attack. Which, especially the countries which are nearing Russia.
So, but a nuclear thing would attract other players to get into. That will make this a.
Definitely, if there is a nuclear attack, then, it will be beyond control. The mankind will face a holocaust, which is, you can imagine the bombs which were delivered against Nagasaki and Hiroshima. They were about 15 kilotons or something. Now hundreds of kilotons will be fired. The entire city will perish in seconds. And it is not only that, the effect, the radiation effect, the climatic change. We will get into permanent winters. So it's when I think of it, I am very sure ये जो राजनेता है उनको पता है, उनको भी ये सब पता है, लेकिन सिचुएशन बनती जा रही है. देखो ये लड़ाइयाँ क्यों होती हैं, ये कन्फ्लिक्ट्स क्यों होते हैं? ये कन्फ्लिक्ट्स को कराया जाता है, और कराता कौन है? आर्म्स लॉबी. कोई एक बड़ा कंट्री है जो आर्म्स एंड एमुनिशन प्रोडक्शन करता है, उसके आर्म्स लॉबी फोर्स करता है अपने राजनेताओं को कि हमारे पास बहुत सामान है, बेचना है, आप लड़ाई कराएं. इट्स ए डीप स्टेट पॉलिटिक्स. मैं बड़े सिंपल तरीके से बोल रहा हूँ. सो द कन्फ्लिक्ट्स आर क्रिएटेड. तो वो आर्म्स एमुनिशन वहाँ पे बेचा जा रहा है. यूक्रेन क्या है? यूक्रेन अच्छा भला बैठा था. किस लिए उसको नेटो में जाना था और किस लिए वो लड़ाई करनी थी? यूक्रेन का कम नुकसान हुआ है, रशिया का कम नुकसान हुआ है.
years पीछे हो गए वो, years मतलब if not decades.
तो ये कहाँ है? ये पूरे के पूरे जो पिछले 15 साल में जो मॉडर्न वॉरफेयर के हथियार जो बने हैं, वो यूक्रेन रशिया बैटलफील्ड में टेस्ट हुए हैं. तो ये सब आर्म्स लॉबी का गेम है. और इस गेम से निकल के अब आप इन सब राजनेताओं की, आप अगर आप इनकी छवि को देखें, ये सब एक कॉइन के इस तरफ के या उस तरफ के. उनको पता है कि अगर इस स्थिति में मैंने लड़ाई को बंद कर दी, मेरे अपने लोग मेरे को मार देंगे. आज नेतन्याहू के अगेंस्ट में अरेस्ट वारंट है. वो तो किसी हालत में पीछे नहीं आएगा. राजनेताओं की इंडिविजुअल परसेप्शंस, उनकी उच्चाकांक्षाएं, ये दूसरा रीज़न है जो कि कन्फ्लिक्ट्स होते हैं. और एक रीजनल कन्फ्लिक्ट से ये एक ग्लोबल कन्फ्लिक्ट बनता जा रहा है, जो कि बहुत डेंजरस है.
सर आज हमने ना सर वी हैव कवर्ड अ लॉट ऑफ टॉपिक्स. इट्स बीन अ ग्रेट सेशन सर. वी हैव कवर्ड योर जर्नी. हमने आपके स्टोरीज सुने, आपके फनी स्टोरीज भी आपने शुरू में बताया जब आप बाहर खड़े थे. सो टू वेरी स्कैरी स्टोरीज. आपने कुछ गलतियाँ बताई. यू टू गिव अस अ लॉट ऑफ इनसाइट्स ऑन की सिनेरियोज इन द नॉर्थ ईस्ट, in JNK, global scenarios. To end the podcast, sir, like I always request our guests to do this. I want you to send a message by looking at the camera to the Indian, to all us Indians, of what is that one thing which we can do. That's one small thing which we can do to make the country a better place, and for all of us, and hopefully a lot of viewers, if we can make that one slight difference, कुछ भी लोग करते हैं, that then if not anything, this podcast motivates them to do that.
Being a soldier, I'm sorry, my throat is not that good. But being a soldier, I want the youth of my country, the cream, which is going out of my country to different other countries, especially the scientists, to remain at least for 5 to 8 years and serve this country. What you are giving there, give half of it in your country. Make your country so strong that, you know, technologically, we should be number one in this world. So that is my dream when from all NIIT or IITs, the boys and girls, they are working for the infrastructure and especially in the defense field in India. तो ये मेरा मैसेज है यूथ के लिए कि अगर आप शांति चाहते हो, ये बात तो सही है कि युद्ध के लिए तैयार रहना पड़ेगा, और युद्ध के लिए तैयार अगर रहना पड़ेगा तो ये देश आप लोगों का सेवा मांगता है. कंसिडर कीजिए और अपने देश के हाथ और बलवान कीजिए. जय हिंद.
Jain sir, that's been great. Thank you so much for being here, sir.